half sounds.
We won't run out the ground ball to shoot.
That's right. That's right. We'll just look at it as the throw goes over.
There you go. 6-3.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, baseball's playoffs are set. College football's weekend was wild, and Europe retains the Ryder Cup. But we begin today with the NFL, and we are searching for the best win of any NFL team yesterday. And notice I said best win. That eliminates the Cowboys and the Packers, who tied, but we will get to them later. Wibon, let me refresh your memory. Among the winners were the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Rams, the Giants, your Bears, the Lions, and the Steelers in Dublin. So who had the best win?
Only one of those teams went out there. And those are, they're good wins, particularly anytime you went on the road. But I'm not going to start with the Bears at Raiders, even though that made me happy.
Right.
I'm going to go to a guy that won at home in his very first start as a rookie.
Are you doing this to me again?
What?
Do you want to look at these notes? Are you doing this to me again?
Yes, I apparently am. Oh. Because Jackson Dart, Tony, here's what I was impressed by. He's just he seems like a big, tough, rambunctious, fearless kid.
You like his dance in the end zone?
And the dance I was a little annoyed with. But I like the way he ran over people. He's going to break his right throwing hand attempting to stiff arm people. That's not the smartest move. But, Tony, they were winless. They bench Russ. I don't think this is going to work at all. They're playing the San Diego Superchargers, and I thought that was going to be 4-0. They beat a team that hadn't lost a game, and they hadn't won a game.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know how you start with any other win than that.
So this is exactly how I felt when I learned that this was a story that we were going to do. I'm not going to say the Giants are a good team because they're not a good team.
No, but this is
a big-time win because the Chargers were undefeated and appeared to be a juggernaut, and the Giants beat them, the Giants who hadn't done anything. And it was the coming-out party of Jackson Dart, as you say. Now, he got a win. I'm not saying he was great, but he was good enough. And I think Brian Daboll has to say to himself, why did I wait until game 4 to throw this kid out there? I thought the second best win was the Lions. And I know that the
Lions?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Lions are at home.
I understand they beat the Browns, right?
The
Browns are not a good team. But what happened last week with the Browns? The Browns, if I'm not mistaken, smothered the Packers.
Yes, they did.
And everybody said they had the best defense in the entire league. And the Lions put 34 on them. And earlier this season, it was the Packers who beat the Lions.
Yes.
And then you came out the next day and said they're number one. Number one in the Wibon ratings, power ratings, right?
Yes, I did.
I think the Lions have passed them now. I want to go the other way on this question. I want to say worst loss because I don't think it's the Chargers. And I don't think it's Tampa Bay, which had a chance to win. I don't think it's the Colts, which had a chance to win.
That was a good win by the Eagles.
It was a fine win, especially considering they completed no passes in the second half.
That's right.
The worst loss was the Baltimore Ravens. It's the worst loss. They've played 3 good teams now.
Kansas City.
They got pasted by the Chiefs.
Okay.
What was the number on that?
37-20.
37-20, and now they're 1-3. They have played a really tough schedule. They have lost to the Bills. They have lost to the Lions. They have lost to the Chiefs, right? But they gave up 116 points in those games. They're not a playoff team right now.
No, but by the way, here's why you have to have at least, it's not even a footnote, because it's a sad note on the Giants. Malik Neighbors going out.
He's out.
You talk about the encouragement you would have if you had Neighbors and you had Jackson Dart throwing to him, and now he's out for the season.
You don't want to go crazy because, Carson Wentz looked good the first time. People come in the first time and they look good.
They do. One game. And
then you get
But the question is, which is the best win?
Giants.
This kid had a really good win, right?
Yeah, it's the Giants.
Let's move to the baseball playoffs, which are finally locked. In the National League, the Reds are in, and the gagging Mets, get out of here. Over in the American League, both the Tigers and Guardians made it and will play each other again. But the Astros are out for the first time since 2016. And for you I-95ers, Sox, Yanks start tomorrow. Tone, your reaction to who made it, who didn't, and the initial matchups.
Okay, so the headline on who didn't make it is, you're right, it's the Mets, the highest payroll in baseball.
Wow.
They didn't make it because they got shut out by a division opponent, the Marlins, who beat them 2 out of 3 in this series. The Marlins, a team that finished 4 games under 500. Here's the Mets payroll.
Back of the Mets, though.
Here's the Mets payroll, $342 million.
Number 1, right?
Here's the Marlins payroll, $67 million. So I'll get to the matchups in a second, but I
we can agree on the Mets being out. That's the notable.
I just want to say this early. You know how I feel about this. Baseball is an everyday sport. That is the rhythm of baseball. I don't want to be in the bye if I'm in baseball. I want to be what the Yankees and Dodgers are having to play in the wild card. I want to play because this isn't football. Now, what is attractive? Yankees and Red Sox is attractive. Padres and Cubs is attractive. I'm disappointed in Detroit and Cleveland because
we just saw it.
It feels so regional. We just saw it for 6 games over the course of 2 weeks.
Regional than Yanks Sox.
Well, but
no more regional than that.
It was 5-1 Cleveland, so I'm disappointed.
No, I'm with you. By the way, the Astros, we need to go back over that a little bit more, who have been in the postseason 8 straight years.
Yeah, they've been a dominating team.
7 times in the League Championship Series, 4 times in the World Series and twice won it. The Astros being out, that's a bummer to me.
Okay, but things end. Things end.
Apparently so. I'm with you on not wanting to have a bye. A bye for a week?
No.
This is like college football when they get a bye for a month.
No.
And they're out. No, I like it. Listen, and you may not advance. I'd rather the Cubs be playing 3 days. And by the way, the Padres. The Padres lineup is a murderer's row. It is. They got they got.
It's not as good as
lumber.
It's not as good as Phillies.
It's
1
right
9.
there.
It's there. Yeah.
You got a guy like Arise, who people forget has won, 3 batting championships?
Yeah, but
he's in the San Diego lineup with Tatis Jr.
But your best pitcher, the rookie's going to pitch, isn't he?
No, because Cade Horton, he coughed
and broke a rib.
And cracked a rib.
Unbelievable.
A coughing spell. Somebody gave him a cold. That person should be suspended. So now we don't have our best. That's so Cubbish. We don't have our best pitcher.
Right.
Since Jake Arrieta, we don't have that guy to go against that lineup. And I don't know how we get through, even though we have 3 at Wrigley. And they're all afternoon games. I wanted to go see a night game. I can't. Because ABC stole the afternoon games and put Cubs-Padres on. I guess that's a good thing. Sox-Yanks is too early. I like Sox-Yanks too. Not October 1, 2, 3.
The Cubs are going to be playing against PTI tomorrow.
3 days in a row.
By the way,
I might not be here.
I know you would agree with me on this.
What?
That we find ourselves with a soft spot in our hearts for Cincinnati because Terry Francona is the manager there. Do you know that they don't have a single hitter who batted as high as 270 or had 25 home runs?
No.
They can't beat the Dodgers.
You got De La Cruz, though. They got a great player.
You're going to beat the Dodgers? No.
Tony, you said that a year or 2 ago. Didn't Arizona beat the Dodgers?
Nobody beat them last year.
But the best team often loses in this very round.
I wouldn't want the bye.
I wouldn't either.
All right, let's move now to the Ryder Cup, which both you and I watched almost all of over 3 days. The Europeans took a massive lead after the first 2 days and then barely hung on for dear life yesterday afternoon. Wibon, what stood out most for you?
Tony, I guess the drama for about 90 minutes yesterday, because I started the day thinking it's a football day. They're pretty good matchups. I'm nervous about Bears-Raiders. I'm lined up 3 TVs on football.
Yeah.
And then
I called you. And you said you
and Neville at the same time call and say, "Are you watching the Ryder Cup?" And I go, "Not really."
Get on it.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
It's over. It is not going to matter. It's not supposed to matter. We're supposed to sit here and talk about how the United States got drubbed in the team competition and they couldn't make it up. And for a moment, it looked like the greatest comeback ever.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And so that
it started with Cameron Young hitting the birdie on 18 and beating Justin Rose.
And then Justin Thomas
birdie on 18 and beat Tommy Fleetwood.
Unbelievable.
And then Bryson DeChambeau made up 5 strokes and halved the match. And then Scotty Scheffler, who was 0-4 to that point,
finally wins.
Beat Rory on 18. And you looked at all the red on one side and you said, could this actually happen? But Shane Lowry said no.
Shane Lowry said no. But you know what? There's so many notable things, including the U.S. dominance. The European dominance on Friday.
And Saturday.
Also, we have to talk about the crowd misbehavior.
Thank you.
And Tom Watson.
Thank you.
If you don't want to listen to us or anybody else, the great Tom Watson went to social media to say, no, this is wrong.
I thought about this, and I thought that I was happy that I didn't actually go in person, that I watched on TV. Because had I gone in person, I would have been repulsed by the actions of the crowds. There's no place in sports to have chance of cursing at a player and his family.
And throwing a beer at
can't
somebody?
Do that. Rory McIlroy was treated abysmally. And part of this is the PGA of America, right? That they ginned up, they deliberately orchestrated and ginned up a thing that had a jingoistic feeling to it. And what I thought to myself was a lot of these people that are screaming at Rory McIlroy are the same people who cheered for him in Augusta when he completed the Grand Slam.
They don't go to Augusta. And I think that PGA,
$750 a ticket for this.
I think the PGA had some help from a higher place.
And that may be
ginning up.
And that may be
this,
the case.
This behavior.
But it was not. It overshadowed, not completely.
No, but it was so out of place.
But it was a part of it.
It was.
Yeah.
But the golf,
you can cheer, you can boo, you can't curse.
No, you can't.
And throw stuff.
This could have been in a studio with silence and the drama of it. Now, I guess part of it, the partisan nature and the passion certainly adds to it. And by the way, the European players, see, they've won like what? Like 5 out of the last seven or something like that.
So you know what? First of all, Rory played great the first 2 days. Rahm played great the first 2 days. Fleetwood and Lowry played great. I read with interest and looked at with interest the fact that the captains, Luke Donald and Keegan Bradley, put DeChambeau and Rahm out there the first 2 days in every match they could. And that's saying, I don't care that you're on a live tour. You're still great.
They shouldn't care.
You're still great players.
And they shouldn't care.
The other thing that got to me, Shane Lowry is from Ireland. He won the British Open. You'd think that's the biggest thing in his life. He said this was the biggest thing in his life.
Okay, but 3 of the majors are played in the United States. The Ryder Cup always seems to mean more to the Europeans.
It does.
They got to come. They got to leave home to play in 3 of the 4 majors.
Well, most of them live in Florida.
Well, they
so
do.
go crazy.
They actually do.
Most live in Florida.
At least
but they seem to do the team thing better than we do.
They do the team thing better.
Let's take a break. Coming up, how should Micah Parsons feel about his return to Big
time?
Here we go.
Man.
How should Micah Parsons feel about his return to Dallas?
That's it. That's all. A tie? And thankfully, he said it afterward. He talked about how that defense, which he's supposed to lead and be the Hall of Famer and be Reggie White Jr., they gave up 40. So no, you can't feel great about that. I know we got this semi-sack for 0 yards on Dak, and they talked about that like it was, the greatest sack of all time. But they didn't, this was a very, very, very entertaining game.
Yes.
This game had all the elements except not a winner. And so the Packers, what does this mean? I watched the Cowboys last week. I know how bad that defense is.
Right.
The Packers figured to go down there and win that game just like the Bears beat the Cowboys last week. Now they're 2-2.
Yeah. So I'm not going to dwell on the game of Micah Parsons. As you say, it was very entertaining. I think what you take away from it is that the Packers may not be as good as you thought originally.
Not
and the Cowboys may not be as bad. But the Cowboys are fatally flawed. I'm going to give you numbers that are shocking.
Defense.
Dak Prescott is really good. He should get his money.
He's having a great season.
They are number 1 in offense. They get 404 yards a game. They give up 420. They're last. You get 404, you give up 420. It's bad math.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is going to end up being this year's Joe Burrow. He's going to get 35, 38, 41, and they're not going to win games. You know the happiest guy in the joint was yesterday? Jerry Jones, because he didn't lose to Micah Parsons.
Well, he did, but you know what? And I know the Packers are 2-1. They're 2-2 in my book.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Because that's a loss for them. That's how it has to feel. And by the way, so that's the Browns and Cowboys. One team that can't play offense and the other that can't play defense, and they couldn't beat either one of them.
Can't play.
So, cheeseheads. I'm glad I was wrong on the cheeseheads. Early jump to conclusion.
You did.
Putting them in
Overreaction
in February. College football. What was the most compelling result of the college football week?
Okay, so there are a lot of good things. To talk about. Ole Miss is now 5-0. They beat LSU with a D2 transfer quarterback.
How about that?
Virginia beat Florida State. What? Virginia beats Florida State. And once again, James Franklin and Penn State lose to a top 10 team. They lose to Oregon.
But it was an overtime.
James Franklin at Penn State now 4-21 against top 10 teams. But the number one thing is Alabama. Alabama goes to Georgia, wins that game. You said that would never happen. It was going to be a
I
romp.
apologize to Booger McFarland.
That's right.
Who came on this show and killed it.
Okay.
And I did not.
Okay. So Kalen DeBoer comes back with Alabama. He is now I believe, 16-3 against ranked teams throughout the course of his career. He's not James Franklin. But Kirby Smart...
He can't beat Alabama no matter who's coaching.
Kirby Smart's 1-7 against Alabama, 0-2 against DeBoer. Kirby Smart's overall record is 107-13. So that
half
means
his losses are to Alabama.
So that means that Alabama is his kryptonite in the way that Michigan is Ryan Day's kryptonite.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, but I'm not giving that the number one result of the weekend.
What are you giving?
The number one result of the weekend is Ole Miss beating LSU, I think, or Penn State. This is supposed to be the year.
You're a Big Ten guy. You're just going.
I am a Big Ten guy, and I will say this. I thought Oregon was going to win that game comfortably. That did not happen.
No.
But for Penn State...
It was a boring game for a half.
It was a boring game.
It was 3-3. It was a boring
game. And Penn State needed to win that game, and they still can't break through. And I know when I sit there and I hear Franklin talk pridefully about his school and his team, I like him. But they don't beat anybody.
He has proven over a long time that these games, like if you're Penn State and you are thinking about a national championship, you got to beat top 10, top 5 teams.
You got to have won that game at home.
I may have gotten Kirby Smart's record 107-13 is against everyone else, not against Alabama. Okay. So that's be 1/3 of
Alabama. Did he lose to Bear Bryant somewhere along the way?
No, just Saban and DeBoer. Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come. The Giants say see you to Bob Melvin. Is that deserved?
That's a wow.
Yeah.
And in the WNBA, the Mercury move on because they face the Catonless Fever in the finals.
Did you get that wrong?
What?
You didn't have Phoenix winning.
I did.
You did?
I did. Oh. They didn't have Nafisha Collier.
He used to orchestrate moves designed to get him a championship, but he hasn't come close anywhere he's gone since leaving the Warriors. Now Durant is in Houston, who just took a big hit when Fred VanVleet tore his ACL.
Big hit.
Durant is a statistical wonder. National Player of the Year has one season at the University of Texas. NBA All-Star 15 times. Rookie of the Year in 2008. Two-time champion, two-time Finals MVP with Golden State, and a 4-time scoring champion. Durant averaged 26.6 points and shot 52.7% last season with Phoenix.
Wow.
Yet another team he is no longer with.
If I'm the Houston Rockets and I've dedicated all these resources to dethroning OKC, I got to go get C.J. McCollum from the Wizards, from your Wizards. C.J. McCollum, that's the move.
He's available for $1. The Wizards don't care. Happy anniversary, Norm Van Brocklin. This is posthumous, but around this day 74 years ago, the Rams quarterback passed for a still NFL record 554 yards. Van Brocklin had 5 touchdowns as the Rams beat the then New York Yanks. Van Brocklin won 2 NFL championships, one with the Rams, one with the Eagles. He was NFL MVP in 1960. After 9 Pro Bowls and 12 seasons as a player, Van Brocklin turned to coaching. First coach ever for the Minnesota Vikings, also coached the Atlanta Falcons.
Remember that.
Van Brocklin suffered a number of illnesses, including a brain tumor. After it was removed, he told the press, quote, "It was a brain transplant. They gave me a sports writer's brain to make sure I got one that hadn't been used."
That is such a funny line.
Yeah, too bad we're sports writers.
Such a funny line. Tony, the New York Yanks,
what
did they become? They were around for like 2 seasons.
I don't know what they became.
But there were Hall of Famers who were on that team.
I don't know.
On the New York Yanks.
Happy trails to the Minnesota Lynx. The Phoenix Mercury